Good morning, dear students. I want all of you to see this picture right over here. This is the continuation of the previous class. We completed both gametogenesis, that means production of a male gamete and female gamete, and that we already given the name called microsporogenesis and megasporogenesis. You can see clearly pollen grain and egg is ready and they're required to be met with each other. So first of all, you remember pre-fertilization is over in plant kingdom. So pollen grains are ready. So in plants, before fertilization, that means fusion of gametes, since female plant or female reproductive gamete called egg cell is immobile. That means it cannot move from one place to other. But whereas pollen grains must be moving. But there are certain disadvantage where sometimes unisexual plants, unisexual flowers, where a male flower is born on one plant and female flower is born on a different plant, require some sort of a delivery system. That means those male gametes must be passed from male flower to female flower. So that for that reason there is one specific method by which plants transfer their pollen grains to stigma or to the egg is called pollination. So in plants, pre-fertilization is followed by pollination and then it lead to the fertilization. So pollination is the process of movement of pollen grains from anther to stigma of a flower is called pollination. So for to achieve that, for the pollination to occur, plants adopted different methods of pollination, like they require agents. And before knowing agents, we need to know a few things, like what are the varieties of pollination. Here the very first one is called autogamy. Autogamy is simply we can call self-pollination, where you can see especially it is found in bisexual plants. Majority of the bisexual flowers participate this. In bisexual flowers, you can see that both anther and the pistil is very close with each other. So what happens, as soon as the pollen grains mature, they break, anther breaks and pollen grains are released, and pollen grains fall on the stigma and they move towards the egg. Egg is present here. So you can see this is called self-pollination, auto, self. So whatever the seeds that are formed after the fertilization is 100% looks or genetically similar to the parent. But there are some plants like Viola, Commelina and Oxalis. These plants produce two varieties of flowers. One type of flower is called chasmogamous flower, whereas another type of flower is called clistogamous flower. Chasmogamous and clistogamous flowers are present on the same plant. Remember, they're not three different types of varieties of flowers. Viola, Commelina, Oxalis. Chasmogamous flower is the flower on the same plant only. It's a bisexual plant who always expose outward, like it is so bright and it is opening its own anther outward, like so exposed. So it encourages cross pollination. But whereas in clistogamous flower, these flowers are always closed. That means the floral buds like calyx and corolla completely covers it. So there is no exposure. So this kind of adaptation, like clistogamous adaptation, gives 100% seed production with similarity with the parents only. But clistogamous even encourages the cross pollination also. Okay, this is for your exam point of view, this is very, very important. Please keep that in your head. Now we move to the next variety of pollination called geotenogamy. If you see the geotenogamy, you can see the plant is same but the flowers are different. Sometimes pollination occur in such a way that you have to remember that it is not always between the pollen and the egg of the same flower, but sometimes pollen from the one flower can transport all the way and fall upon the stigma of the different flower of same plant. So this is called geotenogamy. So this is also say can be called as self-pollination in terms of genetics, since because it belongs to same plant, but physically we can call it as a cross-pollination. So here what happens is that pollen grains of different flower fall upon the stigma of different flower of the same plant. Genetically similar, but physically it is different. Geotonogamy. But here comes the completely different process called xenogamy. You can say in xenogamy, especially followed by unisexual uh, flowers, where male flower born on male plant, female flower born on the female plant. So here unisexual flower require, that means 100% require the agents of pollination like insects or wind or water. So here pollen grains from one flower of different plant fall upon the flower of stigma of flower of different plant. So this ensures, this is called cross pollination, which ensures variation. I already discussed about variation. So variety formation can occur and due to variation. Okay, so these are the three varieties. But if you see what are the agents of pollination, how plants will adopt to carry the pollen grains, especially in the cross pollination. In cross pollination, there are some agents required. Here there are two agents, abiotic agents and biotic agents. If you see the abiotic agents, there are majorly water and air are the agents which help in the carrying the pollen grains. Especially bryophytes do that. The method is called hydrophily, hydrophily, biological term. Same way air is also participating, especially majority of the angiosperms and gymnosperms, majorly gymnosperms, participate in this method of transport of pollen grains. This is called anemophily and hydrophily. If we move to the abiotic factor, a plant must use some living organisms like insects, entomology, insects, variety of insects. We probably might be knowing many variety of insects participate. Birds, ornithophily. Birds also carry pollen grains on the beak and carry it to the another flower. Animals, zoophily, elephophily, chirapterophily, elephants, chirapterophily by bats, ophiophily by snakes. So variety of agents in the zoophily participate in carrying pollen grains. So now the question is, what is the difference between a flower participating in biotic and a flower participating in abiotic factor? You can give answer to me. What kind of morphological differences? So remember, morphological, this is the question. What are the morphological differences between flower of biotic, taking the help of biotic factors, and factors, the flower of plant participating in abiotic agents? Okay, this you need to be, this is only one question today I'm going to pose to you. Okay, now remember, let's see the nature of plants participating in air pollination. This is the one agent that we are going to discuss here. How air help in the process of pollination. Remember this one. In order for the pollen grains to participate in air pollination, they must have some characteristics. Most important question here. Here, these pollen grains must be they must be very light in weight. That probably you know why it should be light in weight. And they should not be non-sticky. They should be non-sticky. So non-sticky nature allows them not to stick with anything that it get attached with. Okay. Then when it comes to the stigma, or which participate in air pollination, it should be feathery in nature. It's like, it's not like, it should be exposed out. And the stigma must have only one ovule and must produce numerous flowers. So these three are the characteristic feature of a female flower. And these numerous flowers must be packed in the form of inflorescence. Inflorescence we discussed, like many small flowers bunched together formed on the same axis. This give you inflorescence. Okay. This air pollination is very commonly found in grasses, monocotyledons. So majority of the monocotyledons participate in air pollination. In here, you can see clearly right over here, we have one example given in our textbook. Here you can see this is the pollination found in the inflorescence of a specific plant. So you can see clearly how the feathery appearance of stigma. This is commonly we can discuss here in maize plant. In maize, you can see maize cob. Cob. This is very commonly found. You can see there are so many tassels. This is the one which we commonly call corn. These tassels are nothing but styles. At the tips of the style is stigma. You can see they were very silky in nature. The main purpose of it is like expose out, they expose out so that whenever there is a pollen grain being present in the air, there are chances that these pollen grain may fall on the stigma. So after that, the pollen grain participate. It goes deep into the flower of the corn, and then fertilization takes place. Okay, so remember this. Okay, so this is a short class, and tomorrow we'll continue like a big concept. Okay, have a nice day. There's one question I given. Please try to tell the difference between these two. Thank you.